willkommen zu einer weiteren Folge Vampyr auf meinem Kanal. Wir sind in der letzten Folge im Haus stehen geblieben, aber irgendwie spawn ich jetzt nach dem Restart wieder hier draußen. Wir machen weiter, wo wir aufgehört haben, und hier ist einer. Der ist tot. Hä? Ist das der Angeschossene? Was geht hier vor sich? Ich hab doch niemand... Was? Wieso sterben die alle? Hä?
Good evening.
Ja gut, es hat aber gespeichert.
Goodbye, Miss.
The Swanborough cordial can be the answer to all your problems. As long as you have the money.
Das ist der Benjamin Palmer.
Good evening.
When science fails.
Ja, das hat bei dem auch gespeichert.
A gun up.
Jetzt muss ich erstmal wissen, wo das Haus gewesen war. Und das war der Angeschossene hier.
How are you, boy?
I'm not your...
Goodbye, young man.
I won't end up another drunk arsehole littering the streets. Not me.
Hm.
You'll understand. You've wasted your life away.
Muss ich erstmal rausfinden, wo das Haus gewesen war. Hier unten? Achso, ich habe ja die Axt.
It's locked, all right.
Okay, da ist auch ein Toter. Die sterben hier schon alle weg, bevor ich die aussauge. Wo war dieses Haus gewesen? Ich drehe durch. Ist die Dame vielleicht hier entlang?
When science fails you, this elixir will give you
Wer bist du denn?
Flowers at this hour.
Kennen wir
Mr.
uns?
Bates.
Evening, Doctor.
Mhm.
Goodbye,
Wir kennen
Mr.
uns. Hier geht's lang, hä? Jo, hier bin ich richtig.
Please, Joe. How long have we known each other? We even used to be neighbours, for Christ's sake.
I'd prefer not to give you another beating,
Und
Baron.
hier war das Haus.
Welcome, sir. Please, take a browse of my wares.
I am Doc.
Doctor? Interesting. I'm Barrett Lewis. Usually I don't have time to waste with talk, but at this hour of the night I can hardly refuse.
How is business around here?
Business? I have no business. Between this racket, theft, and customers getting scared, I'm losing money every day.
I see. Sounds like you blame someone in particular for your situation.
It's no secret Joe Peterson spends his time harassing merchants. But with me, he's trying to put me out of business once and for all.
As a merchant,
Joe
you
Peterson.
see Whitechapel every day. Have you noticed anything out of the ordinary recently?
Well, you mean besides the epidemic, the war, and all the usual crap? As long as I can remember, this part of town has been a bottomless pit, and no sign of the bottom yet.
Violence is increasing in the borough.
Yeah. A few nights ago, some blokes jumped me. Came out of one of the condemned workshops. Fever, madness, something like that.
Where did this happen? Why did you go there?
In the closed workshops nearby. I worked there as an apprentice in better days. Now I only go to find trinkets or tools. Too bad I was mugged, though. There was good money in that little box of loot I lost.
Ja, ich
Have you
kann's
been
dir
hurt?
besorgen.
But that's
Schlimm
only
dort
because I
mehr.
ran like hell. Those men were raving lunatics, I tell you. Not even able to speak anymore, just screaming.
Bist gesund, perfekt. Da ist alles zu.
Have you heard of a nurse called Dorothy Crane?
Nurse Crane? So the bitch really is a nurse, then? Always thought she was just some crafty foreigner, that one.
Yes, she's a nurse, and quite a good one. What did she do to gain such notoriety?
Dorothy Crane ain't even a real name. Something like Dorothea Craniu. Something like that. Came to England fleeing the war, I was told.
That doesn't explain why she irritates you so much.
Your precious Nurse Crane gives away medical supplies and prescriptions for free. I offered to sell it for a fair cut, but no. Miss Crane wanted to play the quiet saint.
Dorothy Crane. Was
Right
hast
then.
du? Wenn ich wüsste, was ich brauche, um die Waffen zu upgraden, dann würde ich mir auch mal was kaufen. Das kaufen wir uns. Gewöhnlich, gewöhnlich, gewöhnlich. Aber gewöhnlich brauchen wir auch noch mal. Gut. Joe Peterson.
Excuse me, sir. I have a few questions for you.
Another journalist? I didn't answer the first one, so piss off!
I'm not a journalist, I'm a doctor.
A doctor, you say? It's quite a rare breed in this part of town.
Really? But still, here I am. Dr. Jonathan Reed, at your service.
I'm Joe Peterson to some, but Colossus Joe to most. And I don't remember asking for your service, sir.
May I ask what you do around here?
I do whatever I want, and sometimes even more. Now sod off.
Dich sauge ich aus.
According to you, physicians are scarce in this part of town. Why is that?
Not familiar with this neighborhood, are you? I guess your fancy colleagues are too afraid of being stabbed in the back.
This part of town does have quite a reputation. Would you say it's justified?
Totally. Look at me, for instance. I always look my opponent in the eye before knocking him out.
Mhm.
How did you become the local bully everyone is afraid of, Joe?
There's no pride in roughing up poor bastards. But this is the only job I've found. And it pays well, too.
A job? So you're racketeering for someone else?
I got enlisted by the Wet Boot Boys, a gang from the docks. I'm their muscle for their dirty work.
You are a criminal who endorses criminal activity. The least you could do is stop hiding behind this pretense.
I don't care what you think, sir. I do what I have to do for my own reasons, and that's that.
I'm not sure Mr. Lewis would agree with your by all means necessary philosophy, sir.
Oh, do you really think he's the poor victim here? Barrett can be as sneaky as anyone. Long ago, I even called the bastard my best friend.
Mhm. Da ist nix.
Have you heard of a nurse named Dorothy Crane? She's a colleague of mine and is supposed to live around here.
Dorothy Crane? Yeah, I know her. One of the few good souls who dare to help the sick around here.
Could you please tell me more about her?
She's a nice girl. Tries to help the migrants. I offered to give her a hand, but she said my reputation would attract too much attention.
Okay.
Goodbye, Mr.
Gehen wir nochmal zu dir, da haben wir eine Nachricht.
Fancy bar.
You never... Joe Peterson. He's the villain here, isn't he? But you seem to know each other.
I'd known Joe for years. I saw him box once or twice. He was a friend then. But these days, he's just another thug.
What can you tell me about Mr. Peterson? Besides his behavior toward you, obviously.
Colossus Joe was a decent boxer, good one even. But after his wife passed away, he found every excuse to stop training. Just wanted to pick fights with everyone.
Without making excuses for him, it's safe to say that despair can poison even the sanest mind.
We've all had some rough times, ain't we? But most of us don't use our fists to see us through.
And no one has ever stood up to this thug.
Nobody would be fool enough to stand against a wet boot boy.
Okay.
Goodbye for now.
Gut, geh mal in das Haus hier rein.
Good evening, Harry. May I come in?
Sure. Sure. Is there only pain and suffering in this world?
So, may I ask you a few questions?
I'm not bothered. What could be worse?
How do you feel?
I'm fine. I mean, it's not easy every day, but I'm fine. I'm just tired of being sick all the time. If only I could be tough, like... Well, you know.
Speaking of which, what can you tell me about your father?
My father is an idiot who makes idiot things. That's all I have to say.
Erschöpfung, schade, habe ich nichts dir zu geben, aber ich könnte dir helfen, indem ich dich aussauge.
Forgive my bluntness, young man, but you don't seem happy living in Whitechapel.
Why should I? I never wanted to come here in the first place. It was my father's decision. And look around you. Does this look like a nice place to live?
You have a roof over your head, a place to call home. Many people here are not as lucky, you know.
That's exactly what my father says. Harry, you should be grateful for what you've got.
Ja, ist doch auch wirklich
I
so.
wasn't even consulted when we moved here.
If life here is so terrible for you, why don't you just leave this place? Have you ever spoken to your father about it?
I don't go outside. It terrifies me so. I went outside once without my father noticing and I saw terrible things. Bloody and frightening things.
So that's why you stay at home all day? For fear of the epidemic?
I'm not afraid of disease or death, Dr. Reed. It's the living I'm afraid of.
Your father and Mr. Lewis used to be good friends. What happened, Harry?
I was young then. I don't remember Mr. Lewis ever coming back again after my mother died. Or was it after my father started bullying him? I don't know.
Have you tried speaking to Mr. Lewis about it?
I don't go out often, but yes. And he scolded me and told me to leave him alone. I guess my father frightens him too much.
But you are not responsible for your father's actions.
Am I not? Dad always says that he joined that gang for my safety. So if I wasn't born, people wouldn't be worrying about Colossus Joe.
Aber ich denke, den werde ich am Leben lassen. Er scheint eine gute Seele zu haben.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
Yes, I know her. She came here to examine me when I was very sick. She said I should go out more.
Goodbye, young man. Take...
Even my
Okay.
dreams are soaked with glue.
Cool, ich konnte Tresor
So,
öffnen.
I'm not bothered.
goodbye, young man. Take care.
Ich wollte dich gar nicht
Is there
anschwätzen.
only pain and suffering in this world?
Diesen Lewis, den muss ich dann auch noch mal befragen.
Even my dreams are soaked with glue.
It's locked.
Geschlossen. Absagebrief. Joe Peterson. Okay. Professionelle Vampirjäger. Gut, mehr kann ich hier nicht tun. Die Kiste ist
It's
verschlossen.
locked.
Gehen wir raus. Gehen wir nochmal zu diesem Patterson. Und den Lewis, den müssten wir finden. Aber ich habe keinen Plan, wer das ist und wo der ist. Bleib stehen.
You again?
Ja, ich habe was rausgefunden.
Harry doesn't seem happy living in Whitechapel. Why did you make him come here?
I've always put my son's interests above everything else, whatever he may think. Our house is small but affordable. The walls are thin, but the door is solid.
You really love your son, don't you, Mr. Peterson?
He's my pride and joy. Even if he hates me for the choices I make and pushes me buttons more than he should.
Do you have any regrets?
Only one. Not to have my beloved wife by my side. She died when Harry was little. My sweet Jane. She gave the boy confidence.
Since the criminal nature of your job means you could be arrested, are you not afraid of what would happen to your boy if you were?
No one will ever take my son away from me. If that ever occurred, I'd hunt the bastard down and rip off his head with my bare hands.
Weiterhin für die Gangarbeit.
Why do you keep on working for the gang, Joe? You know it doesn't suit you.
It's true, I hate this job. And I know I made some bad choices, but I'm a wet boot boy now. And people won't forget it.
You could leave tomorrow. Start another life in another town.
That's easy for you to say, Doctor. We are poor. My son's weak. And there's no way he'll endure another disappointment.
Goodbye, Mr. Peter.
Lewis, habe ich für dich auch noch was rausgefunden oder nicht?
You know,
Jo, hier.
what do you know of Harry Peterson? The boy seems so fragile. Not like his father at all.
Harry's a good boy, but he spends most of his time complaining. He's had it tough, all right, but he needs to grow a pair.
What troubles him exactly?
Well, despite being his father's son, almost everything, I think. He never wanted to come to Whitechapel in the first place. Hates this place more than most of us.
Okay.
Goodbye
das
for
war's.
now, Mr. Lewis.
Da ist ja noch jemand. Da ist ja auch noch jemand. Machen wir erstmal dich hier unten. Hä? Wieso lädt das jetzt?
Don't be shy, handsome. What can Christina do for you?
I'm not looking for what you're selling. But I'd like to ask you a few questions, if I may. I'm a doctor. Dr. Reed.
All right then, but be quick, though I usually get paid when I open my mouth.
Cool, ich habe die gefunden, mit dem
Christina,
Schall
have you
gehört.
been examined? The epidemic is spreading fast in London, and you could be exposed. Or expose others.
I don't like doctors or hospitals, but I don't like you asking questions.
Considering your line of work, I assure you it is only a matter of time before you have health issues.
If it is going to happen, it will happen. Right now, I need money. That's what's important.
You can put your own life in danger, that's your decision. But what about your clients? If you're contaminated, you will put them in danger too.
And you think that would worry me? If you knew the men I deal with, their health would not be what you'd worry about.
Tell me about yourself.
Are you joking with me? People don't usually come to see me for conversation.
I have no interest in your work. I am, however, curious as to what led you into this career.
Short story. The war, exile, and England. This country is not especially welcoming. I've been refused many jobs because of where I am from. I had few options left.
I'm sure you could have found another job, perhaps less lucrative. Maybe you should try again.
And when exactly was the last time you looked for a job? Or worried about the rent, or what or when you were going to eat?
Okay, keine Hinweise.
Could this be the scarf you lost, Miss Popper?
It is much more than a scarf to me. It is the only thing that connects me to my family and my country. Thank you so much.
Oh, Hinweis fehlgeschlagen? Och nö.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? Anything you can tell me about her would be helpful.
I don't know her, but I know her name is Dorothea Crăciunescu. She came from Romania like me and many others.
You seem to respect her.
Dorothea helps the sick people of Whitechapel. Everyone should respect that.
Ist auch erschöpft.
Goodbye, miss. Take care of yourself as best you can.
Okay, dann hier oben den Prediger.
Forgive my interruption.
Do not apologize, my son. Father Tobias Whitaker is always happy to teach mortals about the incoming Armageddon.
I am Dr. Jonathan Reed, and I just have a few questions.
A scientist? You are much more lost than I thought, my son.
What do you mean when you say that I am more lost than you thought?
All scientists are entangled in a world of causes and consequences, and most of them can't see the plain truth.
Quite a judgmental opinion, if you ask me. But what do I know? Blinded by science as I am.
But you are seeking answers, aren't you? Answers about the Armageddon about to strike the city. Answers about the hidden truth.
I am. But the answers I seek are based on facts, not superstition. What do you mean when you say that I am more lost than you thought?
All scientists are entangled in a world of causes and
Ja, das hatte ich doch schon.
consequences.
Quite a
But you...
Well, I suppose I can spare a few minutes listening to your so-called truth.
As a doctor, you must be aware of the decimating epidemic. But let me tell you that this so-called Spanish flu is just the beginning of the end.
What do you mean?
The beast is finally revealing itself, corrupting the flesh and the heart of men. With my own eyes I have seen them, those minions from the abyss.
I have heard enough. Goodbye.
Nein.
Good evening.
It's far...
Wieso ist das nicht Dings?
What do you... Quite a...
But you...
Well, I suppose I can spare a...
As a doctor, you must be aware...
What do you mean?
The
Ja,
beast...
das hatten wir.
Really? And what would be your answer to this biblical threat?
We must fight the disease before this legion outnumbers us. But not with scalpels and microscopes. No.
What is left then?
Cleansing fire.
Säuberung mit Feuer, okay.
Tell me, Tobias, what exactly is your plan concerning the cleansing of this city?
God will recognize his own. More than once this city has risen from the ashes, hardened and purified by the flames.
Science and progress are our only hope against the monstrosity hidden behind this epidemic.
See, Doctor? Now you acknowledge the presence of evil within the city's walls. Now you start to admit the truth.
Oh nö. Gut, 2 Hinweise gibt's noch.
Have you any friends? Any family left in these terrible times?
No. But I have a disciple I see as my son. He is so devoted. I sent him to preach the good word in the heart of this corrupted city.
Where did you send him?
I sent Samuel to the Stonebridge Cemetery, where the pestilence and evil grows night after night.
You sent him on some preaching crusade during the epidemic.
As a true believer, Samuel will fear no evil while he walks through the valley of the shadow of death.
Okay.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like the liberal ideas of nurses, but I especially abhor that Nurse Crane you mentioned.
So, you're not exactly a fan of Florence Nightingale's work. But nurses are essential for modern healthcare.
Nuns should be the only women allowed to take care of male patients. It's obvious only they have the necessary moral fiber.
Why do you hate Nurse Crane more than other nurses?
Before coming to London, she was a member of the communist resistance in her country. That's what happens when you let a woman get involved in politics.
Dorothy Crane. Ein Hinweis fehlt noch. Hier sind viele... Hier fehlt eine ganze Reihe hier unten.
I have heard enough.
Kann man hier rein? So viel Medizin kann ich ja gar nicht herstellen. Yay. Perfekt. Tür aufgeschlossen. Wo bin ich jetzt hier? Okay. Jetzt muss ich hier nicht mehr den kompletten Weg rundherum machen. Aber erstmal sehen wir uns nochmal hier um. Vielleicht mit dieser Sicht hier. Da kann ich nicht hoch. Unbekannt. Aber von wo soll ich die untersuchen? Von dem ist auf jeden Fall ein Hinweis fehlgeschlagen. Aha. ich kann hier doch gar nichts machen.
Excuse me, sir. Are you familiar with this part of town? Name's Clayton Darby, reporter.
Sorry, I'm new to Whitechapel. But perhaps you could help me since you're a journalist. My name is Jonathan Reed.
Dr. Reed, the famous surgeon. I'll gladly help if I'm able, sir.
Why are the newspapers keeping silent about the Spanish influenza? It's as though none of you care.
There's a war going on. People shouldn't be demoralized by news of deadly diseases.
I served in France. Our top priority must be to put an end to this butchery. This war must stop now.
Sir, streets are a battlefield too. An invisible and untold war is going on, and it must be stopped.
Keine Angst,
Have
nachts
you
vor die
any
Türen zu
idea
treten.
of the danger you face in these streets at night?
I've had to run and hide more than once from frenzied mobs incensed by the fever. Do you think the flu is really responsible for this, Doctor?
I'm convinced there is more at work here than a simple epidemic.
Really? To be honest, I could say the same. Some of the sick I saw or heard of. My God, what happened to them?
What is a journalist doing in this borough after sunset?
He goes where none of his colleagues would dare to go, to inform the country.
So you risk your life to reveal the truth. I saw many reporters do the same during the war.
Whitechapel is the crucible of so many untold stories and tragedies. I want people to know them.
Okay, Hinweis freigestellt.
That's quite honorable of you. But is the public interested?
Not at all, sir. And that's why I'm an independent journalist, hoping to sell some stories.
Ein Hinweis fehlt noch.
Christina Popper claims she sells her body because she can't find any other work. Do you believe her?
Of course I do. Her story is exactly what I want my readers to understand. We live in an intolerant and divided nation.
Do you think things will ever change, Mr. Darby?
I believe the situation can only improve. And now that women can vote, I'm convinced things will change.
Nichts.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby.
Vielleicht kann ich jetzt untersuchen. Ne, irgendjemand fehlt da noch.
You look so pale, my lord. Would you like me to revive you? I'm cheap and...
Good evening, Christina.
Change your mind, Mr. Reed?
Clayton Darby claims he will expose the crisis in Whitechapel to all of London. Do you believe him?
I believe Clayton's courage will erode with time, until he finally leaves Whitechapel to start another fight somewhere else.
Why this skepticism?
How can you speak about starvation if you've never been hungry? Or about poverty? Or anything else you have never suffered from?
Are you talking from experience?
I've seen your type come here to get a good fuck in a cheap room or a dark alley before going back to their fancy houses in the West End.
Mhm. Noch was?
Clayton,
Nein, das wollte ich gar nicht. Zurück. Okay, da fehlt noch eine ganze Menge. Jetzt kann ich da hoch wahrscheinlich. Jetzt kommt der.
You still want more from Christina?
When we spent the night together, my wallet went missing.
Are you calling me a thief? I don't have your stupid wallet.
I know you. You're a nice girl. Can't we solve this amicably?
No, I don't think so. And if you think you know me just because we share the bed together, you're just a lousy and arrogant journalist.
So, was sagen Sie dazu, Christina?
Good evening, Doc.
Tell me, Clayton, do you really think this young woman stole your wallet?
Christina? Yes. I recently met her. A nice girl, despite her questionable conduct.
How exactly did you meet Christina?
During my investigation, I offered my hotel room to her to rest and get away from the street.
And what happened?
The next morning, my wallet and my watch had disappeared. I suppose that's what you get for being a good Samaritan.
If you are going to sleep with a lady of the night, Clayton, I would advise you to be cautious.
I can't really be mad at her, though. She's just trying to survive. She doesn't have many options.
Alle Hinweise gefunden.
Goodbye, Mr.
So, jetzt will ich nochmal zu diese Christina. Wo ist die hin?
Pay me.
Good evening, Christina.
Change your mind, Mr. Reed?
Did you steal Clayton Darby's wallet? Tell me the truth, Christina.
Of course I stole it. But I never thought he would come back to look for it.
Why did you do it? He seems to trust you.
For a time I thought he was different from other men. In the end, he just wanted to sleep with me. Same as the others.
I care nothing for your story or your anger. You stole from him, so at the very least you share the responsibility.
Believe what you want. I don't care.
Blöde Kuh, die sauge ich aus. Geht erst bei Stufe 4. Denkt sich so, gebt ihr recht oder was? Stehlen ist keine gute Tat.
Goodbye, man.
Die sauge ich aus.
No. Good evening.
Was it wise to become so intimate with a woman you were supposed to interview, Clayton?
Maybe it was. But I have learned to look for the inner truth and beauty in people.
I apologize. I didn't mean to be rude. What can you tell me about this woman?
She is very sensitive. So nostalgic about her country. I saw her cry once because she'd lost a precious souvenir from her homeland.
What was it?
A scarf her brother gave her before she came to England.
Okay, Schal haben wir schon zurückgebracht.
Goodbye, Miss.
Diesen Schal haben wir schon zurückgebracht. Ich zeigt der Bottle. So, kann ich mit dir noch mal reden?
May I come in?
Sure.
Even my dreams are soaked with glue.
So,
I'm not bothered.
if so
I'm not
Okay, da ist nichts mehr.
would it ease tensions with your father if he got an honest job? Because he tried, you know.
Can't say. I'd be glad if he dropped his thuggish activities, but I'm not sure it would be enough.
Why is that?
Sometimes I suspect it's me, Dr. Reed. Or it's this life. It's like I can't find my place.
Goodbye, young man.
Okay.
Is there only pain and suffering in this world?
Gut. Mehr gibt es hier vorerst, glaube ich, nicht. Wer ist das hier? Oh. Das sind hier die da. Gut, dann würde ich sagen, machen wir hier erstmal Schluss mit dieser Folge. Das war jetzt wieder eine sehr dialoghaltige Folge. Und dann sehen wir einfach mal weiter. Gut, hier ist dann wahrscheinlich die Nebenmission. In die Kirche kann man nicht rein. Finde ich schade. Na gut, ich bin ja auch ein Vampir. Wäre schon unlogisch. Auch da ist noch eine Frau. Ist aber geschlossen. Gut, kann man das aufmachen? Gut. Wo sind wir hier? Da oben. Okay, ich glaube, hier kam ich her. Nichtsdestotrotz mache ich hier Schluss. Ich bedanke mich auf jeden Fall fürs Zusehen. Wenn euch die Folge gefallen hat, dann lasst bitte einen Daumen nach oben da. Und wenn nicht, gern auch einen Daumen nach unten. Ich bedanke mich. Bis zum nächsten Mal, euer Prinz und tschüss.